lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
We are into the 6th round of the season. Oh, the 5th round of the season, I apologise. As this week we head to Florida and the world famous Sebring International Raceway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Cooper here with you for ESPN. And joining me in the booth once again for another 90 minutes of racing is Mr. Byron Rodney. And Byron, after a dominant display by a damaged car by Dennis Diaz last week, is going to be looking to do the same again here in Florida.
Yeah, he's looking for Florida redemption today. You know, he had Sebring snatched from his grasp the last time around. He's going to be looking for it to do a better job of it today. But we're at a completely different track than we were last week. We do not have the elevation changes. We got a flat technical track, long, fast sweeping turns, but you better be on your braking points and you better be on your marks because this track is an animal all into itself. And what do they say about Sebring, Sam? Respect the bumps.
Yeah, you got to respect the bumps, especially down that long front stretch on that concrete slab that they have there. which I believe was the former runway.
Yep.
At the Raceway, even though, as you saw on the camera right there in the distance, there is still a runway at Sebring, so it's still kind of used as a airport right now, or an airfield.
Yeah, but we're going to be running GT3 and GTE cars around it as these guys are finishing up their practice. A couple of minutes left in practice, and I'm looking at the GT3 board. The names that we normally see at the top are not sitting at the top. Check out the 888 of Derek Kozlowski, who's got a fast practice time. I've got to see what he does with qualifying and what he does with his race pace, because this is endurance racing. It's not about being the fast car. It's about being the most consistent.
Absolutely. Derek Kozlowski at the top right now, and at the top of GTE is Dennis Diaz, picking up where he left off last week. Is about 0.3 of a second faster than the points leader, Terry Calgar Jr. Before we go any further and into qualifying, let's take a look at your point standings as we go into tonight's race. And sitting at the top of the standings is Terry Calgar Jr. He's followed by Paul Skip, who's struggling in practice so far in P5. He's in second with 68 points. Then you've got Brad McCombs, Tyler Langenberg, Tony Watson in P5, Jesse Brannon in P6, Mark Dillon Jr. in P7. Both of those drivers join on 53 points. And you've got a joint P8 there. Dennis Diaz, despite the 2 wins he's had this season, on 52 points along with Ryan Tyler. Then you got Oleg Vorotniak, Safe Ferries, Jason Butler, and Robert Garcia. Obviously, Safe Ferries not in the GTE class anymore. He's running GT3. Take a look at the GT3 class, and you've got Matthew Lemoncelli at the top after 4 second places in a row. And that's given him that 13-point lead over Michael McCoy, who's second in points now after that 1 retirement, but 3 race wins on the season so far. That's put him second in the points. Rex Hoyland third. Then you got Keith Roycroft, Marcus Osborne running at your top 5, Zachary Nurnberger, and then you've got a whole plethora of GT3 drivers. It seems to me, Byron, that the GT3 class is the most popular class in the field right now.
Well, it's a different car. It doesn't have the horsepower. It does handle a little more nimbly in the corners, but it doesn't have the straight line speed. It does have anti-lock braking on it, where the GTEs do not. But you were talking about our points leader in the GT3 class. I'm noticing a name that is conspicuously not in attendance tonight.
I'm missing
our points leader, Lemoncelli.
Oh yeah, Matthew Lemoncelli is not here. I'm pretty sure he said last week that he was going to be missing this week, so that might be why. As Ryan Tyler losing it just coming out of pit road there. That's not going to help him.
No, but he is on his first out lap. He hasn't taken the green flag yet for qualifying. We got 10 minutes of qualifying to get 2 laps in to fire this thing off of in anger as the cars are out there taking their qualifying. And then we're going to be running 90 minutes of endurance racing around Sebring here in Florida.
Yeah, 90 minutes is the scheduled distance here, as it is every single week. We bring you endurance for amateurs here with Pony Express Sim Racing. Just want to point out that 2 of their drivers will be representing our affiliate racing team this weekend. Brad McCombs and Tony Watson joining the VSM Racing Green team at the 24 Hours of Spa.
Oh, can't wait. Looking forward to it. You know that's the one I look forward to every year. I love that track. I even got in here and raced with these guys when they went to Spa. I ran a GTE. I finished, up there. I wasn't last. We'll put it that way. Down close to last, but I wasn't last. These guys took me to the whipping shed, taught me a few things about road racing, and guys like Dennis Diaz have been so helpful in getting us our setup, turning laps with us, working on the cars, getting everything ready for the 24 Spa. I can't wait. Yeah,
Dennis has been a great help to VSM Racing whilst we were getting ready for that endurance race coming this weekend. I'm pretty sure Pony Express will be entering a car come that race as well, so we'll keep an eye out for those guys. But right now we're going to go on board with Dennis Diaz as we go for a lap around Sebring. Byron, call it out.
Hey, he crosses the start finish line. He's working those bumps, headed off into that first turn, and you can see how he hugs that wall to the left, and now he's bringing it up. He's got to hit those first S turns. He's going to be bringing it down, downshift, gets her down to second, makes that left-hander the right-hander, gets it back off the throttle a bit to make it through the left-hander, another right-hander, back up into the gearbox, and then we're going to come up to a hard right-hand turn after we get around this sweeping right. He gets that thing all wound up. He'll top it out, 6th gear, looks for his braking point, hard onto the brakes, down to 1st gear, makes that right-hand turn, and now we're off into the backstretch here at Sebring, where you've got some S's to negotiate. It's a technical track, fast sweeping turns, as Dennis Diaz lets it eat. It's got to get down to 2nd gear into this slower corner. He'll keep her in 2nd as he rolls her around, gets around that 2nd left-hander, double apex, works it off, and we're going to be headed down after another hard right-hander. Now we're getting ready for the long, as fast as you can let that car wind, heading for the bumps back to turn 1.
Yeah, we've got to go through this, another tricky S section right here, through the right-hander. Really got to pick your points. 3rd gear through there. Then you got to take a very wide line going into this right-hander as well, onto this very long backstretch here, as Byron already mentioned. Really got to pick your points as they head down, as he heads down towards Sunset Bend.
Yep, you got to let that car eat, get that thing, get all the speed. He needed to hit those S's as perfect as he could, which it looked like he did, so he can get all the speed out of it. Hugs that wall, lets her drift, downshifts it real quick to 2nd, hits the apexes in the turn, but you can see how upset that car is over the bumps. That's why we say we're in Sebring, respect the bumps. Back across the start-finish line, 1 lap, 155.448, top of the board for Dennis Diaz.
Now Tyler Langenberg puts it in 2nd, but Paul Skip almost immediately displaces him there at the top. So GTE only putting times down so far. GT3, we're going to take a look at the man that topped the practice session. Actually, he's not out on track right now. So let's go to one Mr. Michael McCoy, who's running in the Porsche this weekend. Oh, this week, sorry.
Yeah, these guys, you'll notice they don't consistently stay in a car. And that tells me that the passion that they have for this league and the skill and the time they put into their practice, they go out on this track and they turn lap after lap after lap in each different car to see which car, track combination works best for their driving style. That's why we saw Dennis Diaz in the Corvette last week. He's back into the BMW this week. These guys will switch cars around for what they feel suits them best.
Yeah, it's all about the balance of power as well. It's about which car is the strongest around the track, and obviously people feel that the Porsche is very strong around here. Still a lot of Corvettes in the field. We've got Mark Dillon Jr., Tyler Langenberg, Robert Garcia in a Corvette this week. Brad McCombs and Oleg Vorotniak in Corvettes as well. A very big. We've got a couple of Lamborghinis in the field, and we've got 3 Ferraris in the field tonight. And well, the GTE BMW doesn't seem to be as popular. Neither does the GT3 BMW.
Yeah, well, Dennis is back in his BMW. I got to take a look at what some of the other cars are running. I'm seeing Porsches. I'm seeing, the Vets. Yeah, and I was surprised, Sam, to really see the Ferrari out there being selected. So guys, thinking, hey, I might have a better shot at this than the Ferrari. With the balance of power that came out, the Ferrari kind of got what we call nerfed.
Yeah, one of those new drivers in the Ferrari is Daryl Whitford. He's in the number 21 machine, just making his way through the right-hander into left-hander. Brand new name in the field, rocking the Ferrari. Going to be interested to see how he handles it around this very tricky Sebring track.
Well, you know how much of a fan I am of Ferrari. Every time we've run Spa, I have, lobbied for the Ferrari, and we had to opt out of it and go with the BMW because we couldn't get the lap times we were getting in that Ferrari versus the BMW this year. So hopefully that will bring us a little bit of luck. We got a fast setup. I can't wait for the 24, but my focus is right here, right now on Sebring as I'm watching Daryl Whitford work down the through the S's out in the backside of the track, looking to put in his first lap here for the GT3 class.
Derek Kozlowski goes to the top of the board. Dennis Diaz has finished his qualifying. He's on pole overall, but Kozlowski almost a full 1/10 of a second faster than Michael McCoy, who's going to be second on the grid. We're looking at Paul Boyle right now, just making his way around the track. I believe he's on his second flyer. We'll just get double confirmation that we've got Brad McCombs out on track as well. Gary Schilling is out on track as well. Daryl Whitford, we've just seen him. He's out on track too. And I believe Whitford has put a time in. He hasn't as yet, as he comes through Sunset Bend right now.
Yep, he's headed off to the start, going through the bumps, headed off to the start-finish line, looking for his first time to be put up on the board, and he is going to slot a 2:11 in that Ferrari. Does not look like the Ferrari is, it looks like that power is down on that Ferrari.
As we look at Brad McCombs flying out of Sunset Bend right now in the Corvette. Now he crosses the line. Let's see where this one puts him now. As he goes P7 in GTE, probably not going to be happy with that lap time.
No, he is a full second and a half, almost a full second and a half off of your pole sitter, Dennis Diaz, right now. But I did notice that Terry Calgar Jr., he put in a lap time only 0.3 of a second or behind Dennis Diaz. So I'm looking for another tight battle between those two in GTE. We're just going to have to wait and see how this unfolds.
Yep, still focused on Brad McCombs, and McCombs is actually going to give it up here. He feels like he's not going to be fast enough here. Sean Adkins is out on track in his Ferrari. Now, this is a bit more of a confidence building scene here for the Ferrari driver. He's currently sitting in P5 in GT3 right now.
Yeah, Sean Adkins finding the pace in the Ferrari. Boy, well, look at that paint job that he's got on that thing.
Yeah, very, I believe it's
colorful.
Yeah, we're going to call it colorful.
He hustles it around Sunset Bend, brings her over, points it for the start-finish line, gets on the loud pedal to get all he can out of it as he points it for the start-finish line. See if he can improve on that 2:01.170. He does not. 0.3 slower on that lap, but he did show that Ferrari does have some pace.
Yeah, Daryl Whitford on his second lap now. He's running out of time, though. Does need to get that lap time in, although he is on his way up the backstretch right now as he's about to complete his second flying lap on the track right now. Cody Atkins crosses the line. He does not improve either, so he stays in P9 in GT3. But here comes Whitford. Very slowly through Sunset Bend. Not very quick there. And he, I believe he's going to bring it down pit road here, and he does.
Yeah, Sunset Bend, that can be a tough corner. You get it wrong, it does have a real wide corner, and it's a good thing that it does, because if you get that wrong, you're carrying so much momentum. It's hello outside wall before you can even think straight.
Yep, so qualifying about to come to an end here. I don't believe there's anybody left out on track, so that means we are going to go to our grid for tonight's race, and starting up on the pole with the GTE class. Actually, I'm going to let you call up the GTE class for a change here, Byron.
Oh, GTE class, no surprise. Dennis Diaz up on top of the heat in the 420 BMW. Terry Calgar Jr. going to start right behind him in second, followed by Tony Watson. Paul Skip, he came home fourth in qualifying. Mark Dillon Jr., great qualifying effort from Mark Dillon Jr. in fifth place. Oleg Vorotniak, after we saw him last week, doing like he was doing, it's surprisingly he qualified only sixth. Ryan Tyler in seventh. Brad McCombs at 8th, Tyler Langenberg in 9th, and rounding out your GTE field in the 10th position, Robert Garcia.
Yeah, and we go to GT3 as Derek Kosnowski steals the pole away from your man in second in points. That's Michael McCoy. That's your front row in GT3. Paul Boyle and Say Ferries make up row 2. Sean Atkins and Bryce Anderson make up row 3. Zachary Nurnberger and Keith Roycroft make up row 4, with Cody Atkins and Jeff Height making up row 5. Daniel Barnett and Rex Hoyle making up row 6. There we go. Row 7 will be Mr. Gary Schilling and Jack Gunset. Row 8 will be Dave Ferrara and Atticus Middleton. And rounding out your field of GT3 drivers here tonight will be Daryl Whitford, and the only driver not to take a time here tonight, Timothy Manueli.
Yeah, Timothy Manueli is going to have his work cut out for him to slice up through that field, but we have seen it done. We've got 90 minutes to get it done. It's going to be wondering if these guys are going to. We've seen the last week. No tires at all. 2 green flag stops, no tires. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here at Sebring as the field gets underway behind our pace car driver, Pache KR.
Yeah, GTE field starts rolling. We're just waiting for the GT3 boys to start going. And Yep, there we go. Kozlowski leads the field away. And we're going to have 90 minutes of racing here at Sebring. Definitely going to be looking forward to see how these guys handle it around here. Going to see a lot of action, possibly a lot of crashes as well.
Well, it's a tough track to get around other cars at because you have so many of those high-speed sweeping turns. You got to pick your points and where you're going to make your moves to get around them. And the GTE class is going to catch the back of that GT3 field pretty darn quick, if you, in my opinion, probably within 4 to 5 laps. We're going to be working probably right around 2 minutes a lap through this race, so it's going to be a long one. It's going to be tough, mentally challenging. You got to keep the fenders straight. They do have a fast repair to work with, but they don't want to use it too soon, and they don't want to have to come to pit off sequence.
No, they do not, as we got the field making their way through. There is the GT3 class, a much bigger field than you would expect with the GTE class. It's the GTE class making their way through the S's right now. You can't look any further than Dennis Diaz, but it's a long race here tonight. But Byron, who's your pick for this one? Tony Watson looking strong here again tonight.
Yeah, Tony Watson was looking strong. So was Paul Skip. Oleg Vorotniak surprised me. I was going to pick him after seeing him for the first time last week. I was going to pick him, but he didn't really get the qualifying lap that he was looking for. I think Dennis Diaz in the GTE class is going to set the bar and set the pace, but don't count out Terry Calder Jr. because we heard it from some other drivers. This isn't their favorite tracks, so I'm looking for maybe a field shuffle. What are your thoughts on the GT3 class?
GT3 class, you can't look any further than Michael McCoy, but Derek Kozlowski has really impressed me tonight. Do not count out Paul Boyle or say Ferries, as they're going to be right up there. And Sean Adkins, Bryce Anderson has had a poor start to his GT3 career in this league. We'll be looking to have a better race here tonight. And as always, do not count out Zachary Nürnberger. He's always a dark horse in these kind of things.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some lap traffic is going to be having to be negotiated at a tough track to negotiate it. You're very familiar with Sebring. We both raced on this track. What is your take on it? Where are you looking to make your moves, and where are you looking to be conservative and not push it?
Well, lots of tight right-handers around here. Those S's are going to be very difficult to negotiate. But the biggest area of concern from me is probably through Sunset Bend and through Turn 1 as well. Both very significant passing places, and you have to pick your marks as they come through Sunset Bend right now. Byron, it's time to get us going.
Well, Pachikiar, he takes the Porsche pace car, points it to pit lane as Dennis Diaz has command of the field. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway here at Sebring. Dennis Diaz hits the loud pedal, says, "See you, boys, I'm out of here. Catch me if you can." But Kerry Calder Jr. says, "I'm right on it."
Yep, as they make their way down towards Turn 1, Diaz gets a good start. Calgary in second, Tony Watson in third, Paul Skip in fourth. And we're going to go back and take a look at your GT3 field. They start away down towards Turn 1, and not all of them have made their way out of the final turn yet before they've actually gone green.
No, they had a split in that field way back. Big gap back there between Cody Atkins and Jeff Height. So I don't know what happened. The field got bunched up. I didn't quite catch that. I was paying attention to the GTE class at the start of the race to see how they got, and they are just conga lining it through the S's. I think that they've learned that now is not the time to be super aggressive. Now's the time to get the temperature in the tires, see how my car's handling, and see what I've got and be conservative with it, because they know they're going to have to deal with traffic very soon.
Yeah, and that's the best way to be as the GTE class. Just getting away here, and they're making the right turn into the second part of the S's right now. GT3 field, Derek Kozlowski still leading them down there as they're catching Terry Calder Jr. Now, Calder Jr. has had an incident here, Byron. I didn't quite see it. We're going to get a replay of it right now.
Yeah, I'm taking a look to see what happened.
Oh, just lost the back end.
Yeah, cold tires kind of bit him. Looked like, no, he didn't get any help. Just lost the back end, got a little too tight around there. And that was all she wrote.
Oh, and Garcia loses it coming onto the
wall.
Garcia loses it coming onto the backstretch and smacks the inside tire wall. as they're coming down the backstretch right now. Dennis Diaz is going to lead them into Sunset Bend for the first time under anger, and he's got a decent lead over Tony Watson as well as they come down to the line for the first time tonight, and lap 1 is in the books.
Yep, we are 1 lap into this thing and probably going to expect a whole bunch more. Got to be wondering, Sam, running 2-minute laps, how far you think we're going to get on a tank of Go Fast? I'm thinking probably 26, 27 laps on it.
Well, there's going to be a 2-stop race. Obviously, we don't know if they're going to take tyres or if they're not, because obviously, as Vorotniak and Ryan Tyler both go off on the exit of turn 1. Oh, take turn 2, actually, I apologise. But, yeah, tyre wear is going to be a thing here, obviously, with the bumps. And two pit stop race. Question is, are they going to take tyres or are they not? They didn't take any tyres last week, I know that for sure.
No, they didn't. And taking a look at Ryan Tyler, he did manage to get around Vorotniak in that hard braking zone. They just got on those brakes way too late by the looks of it, overshot the corner and ran out of pavement. Yeah,
they're still well ahead of Terry Carragher Jr., who's managed to get away from the GT3 field and is catching up to this trio of Tyler, Vorotniak and Garcia. But at the moment it's Dennis Diaz in control of GTE. But look at GT3, we have a battle on our hands here, Byron. Kozlowski, McCoy and Ferries all in lockstep right now as they come out of the corners.
Yeah, don't count out Seth Ferries. He impressed the living daylights out of me last week. As a patient driver, he just ran into a little bit of adversity, but man, he really impressed me. I look for big things in this league for him. But you're right, throw a blanket over him. Derek Krasnowski is doing his best to try to get away from Michael McCoy. Michael McCoy putting that pressure on him, holding that pressure on him, hoping he'll make the mistake, forcing him to drive out of the rearview mirror instead of the windshield. But Derek Krasnowski doing a great job at holding his own line.
That he is, as he come down the backstretch again towards Sunset Bend. Diaz with the fastest lap so far, 2 full seconds faster than Tony Watson. That is putting a statement out there for this race already from the reigning champion.
Well, we heard from Dennis, pre-race, he's looking for redemption from the last time we were here at Sebring, as Gary Schilling, I noticed, has put it on the hauler and called it a night.
Yeah, and he did that last week as well. Had a very early exit. Lasted only half a lap last week at Atlanta. Will be.
And as we were talking, Michael McCoy made the move on Kozlowski, got around him, and now Seth Ferries is all over the back of Kozlowski.
Yeah, we're going to take another look at that pass from Michael McCoy on Kozlowski, and he got the inside line going in towards turn 1 there. Kozlowski giving him all the room in the world there and just let him by. Realizes that it's too early to be making aggressive moves in this race.
Well, if it was a sprint, you'd be all over it aggressive. You always want to be the lead dog in the pack, but it's an endurance race and he's using his head, and that's the smart thing to do. My hat's off to Derek Kozlowski.
Yeah. Down in second place now. Seth Ferries is in third as we have Timothy Manueli, who's started from pit road, but is making his way through the field. He's already got around Daryl Whitford and Jeff Height, who've had their problems already. But Manueli on the move up to P24 now. Overall, that is P14 in GT3. As we go back to the GTE field, we've got a battle for second place here.
Yep, Paul Skip is all over the back of Tony Watson as he looks to the inside, coming around. Ooh, thought he was going to take it, but he didn't, as we hustle it off down towards the start-finish line. He's looking for that line. He wants that racing line, and Tony Watson is doing a great job of blocking that line that he wanted. So Paul Skip not giving it up, all over the back of Tony Watson. That is some great driving by the driver of the 85 machine.
Yeah, walking that line, making Johnny Cash proud, as he did right there, as he actually pulls away from Paul Skip on the exit of turn 2. So a good run there by Tony Watson. Not too far behind is Dillon Jr., who's having a much better showing so far in the race here tonight, keeping up with that top 2 battle for the second place.
Dillon Jr. has always been a driver to look out for, especially when he's got a rabbit to chase. and he doesn't fall into somebody else's adversity. He has had a bit of bad luck in the earlier races, but he is no slouch of a driver, as he's proving it right now, moving himself up to the 4th position.
That one is ahead of Brad McCombs. McCombs is just holding station there in that 5th slot. Tyler Langenberg in P6. Obviously, Ryan Tyler, Oleg Vorotniak, and Terry Calgar Jr. Actually, Robert Garcia is up there as well. Calgar Jr. is catching this trio still. Not by as much as he would think, though. He's still only 1.3 seconds behind Garcia as things stand right now.
Yeah. Taking a look at the GT3 class, noticing Atticus Middleton's last car running on the GT3 class just got over
It's gone through turn 1.
Yeah, headed through turn 1, got over the bumps, and now how far back is Dennis Diaz from him? Not that far. We're going to be seeing some passing going on here before too darn long.
Yeah, we're only on lap 5, and look at the lead for Dennis Diaz already. 5.2 seconds up the road from this battle for second place between Tony Watson and Paul Skip. And they're both starting to get away from Mark Dillon Jr. So Dillon actually faster than the second and third that time around, but starting to lose ground slightly in that number 3 Corvette.
Yeah, don't look now, but Brad McCombs is starting to catch up to Mark Dillon. We're going to have us a 4 or 5-way dance for that second spot, as I'm looking at a great, shot. 5 cars in a line, 3 of them being Corvettes. The Corvette, contingent kind of standing out here.
Yep, I mean, this is where they're at home here at Sebring. Obviously, they were at home last week at Road Atlanta, but the Corvette is more naturally suited to a track like this at Sebring. With how old the Corvette has been around, how long the Corvette has been around, and how old Sebring is itself. It's like these two tracks go hand in hand pretty much.
Yeah, and you know what? It reminds me, I need to load this when I get home. I need to load this Corvette up in a test session and see how Watkins Glen. I think Watkins Glen would suit that car beautifully.
Yep, as we go back to the battle for second place here, Tony Watson doing a good job of keeping Paul Skip behind him. Skip has been close to a race win so far this season, just didn't have it all together so far. And with the way Dennis Diaz is running right now, it looks like the race win might be out of the way. But we're only 9.5 minutes into this race, so still plenty of racing left to go. And Dennis Diaz still has to catch the GT3 field yet. As here comes Paul Skip, big dive through Sunset Bend. Takes it away, up to second place now. Paul Skip getting the job done through Sunset. Down the front stretch now. Tony Watson looking around the outside. He's not going to give this one up so easily. As they head in towards turn 1, gives Skip plenty of room, and Tony Watson just concedes defeat for now, as Terry Calgar Jr. has had another incident here.
Yeah, I'm just noticing that, and I'm also keeping my eyes on our leader, Dennis Diaz, as he is now coming up onto the back of lap traffic. Atticus Middleton getting around Daryl Whitford. So Daryl Whitford will be the first car in Dennis Diaz's sights right now. And I'm paying attention to Dennis because I want to see how he handles lap traffic, because that is what took him out of Sebring the last time.
Yep, gets around Whitford very easily. He's now got his sights set on Atticus Middleton, as Jeff Height has had an incident as well. Now he goes off on the entrance to the backstretch here. And no damage, I don't think, on that BMW, but not going to be happy with that incident right there, as Cody Atkins gets around him. And Atkins in the Falcon BMW has lost 5 spots in this race so far, so Atkins on the struggle bus right now, as they say.
Yeah, he's a little bit on the back foot. Sebring's a tough track to negotiate. It's the rhythm track, but it's so long and so sweeping. You got to understand, it's 17 turns. It's 3.7 miles long, and it takes you a good long while to get this track down in your head as to exactly what you need to do, where and when.
Yeah, battle for second still heated up right here. Paul Skip not able to get away from Tony Watson. Watson going to look to the outside of Skip. I think Skip's had a slowdown here because he's let Dillon and Tony Watson through, and that is going to hurt Skip. But Skip might have cleared it by now, might be able to get back on the power and try and get up his positions back.
Wow, look at that move by Dillon.
3 wide.
Going up the gut, 3 wide. Dillon says, I want that spot. I'm taking it, and there's nothing you can do about it, as he gets passed right back by.
Wow. Great racing already, and they're coming up on Atticus Middleton now to put a lap on him. Middleton needs to be careful here because Watson, Dillon and Skip are all together. Brad McCombs is not too far behind either. He's right with these guys as well as they come up to Atticus Middleton to put a lap on him right now.
Yeah, they found an opportune spot of the track to get around them to where they can all go wide. Ooh, as Atticus Middleton gets it loose, takes out. Oh my God!
Let's take another look and see what happened right there as they come down to this very tight right-hander. And oh no, he just got onto the grass and hit and went sideways into the side of Brad McCombs. And again, very unfortunate there. Atticus Middleton involved in another incident involving GTE cars.
Yeah, and Brad McCombs is really off on speed. Must have picked up a good bit of damage. And if I'm not mistaken, that car almost looks like it's crab walking.
Take a look at Brad McCombs right there. Yeah, it is crabbing. That is very unfortunate there for Brad McCombs. And the way Middleton hit him, it was dead set right on the suspension arm, the right rear suspension arm, and that will have done enough to completely snap it in half. And he's got to take that back to pit road, burn that fast repair so he can at least get running. And well, it's just going to be damage limitation from here for Brad.
Yeah, he's going to be way off sequence with the other cars. He's going to probably have to make an extra stop when it comes to fuel, but he does need to bring her pit side and get that damage repaired if he wants to, have a salvage a decent finishing spot, and hope attrition takes everyone out ahead of him.
Yep, there goes Atticus Middleton around him, and Terry Calgar Jr. going to go sailing around the outside as well. That number 23 Corvette just limping back to pit road now. That suspension has completely fallen apart now as it brings it to pit road. And that is definitely going to be a fast repair burned here for that Corvette driver, System X driver.
Yep, 45 mile an hour speed limit on pit road and he's got to go a long way down to get to his stall. That has got to be a tough pill to swallow. Yeah,
especially with the GT3 field making their way around him as well now. As he gets into his pit stall, he's taking his fast repair. Now, does he decide to take tires and take fuel at least? He does take fuel.
If I was in his position, I would take tires, but no, he doesn't. Takes the fast repair, takes fuel, back out on the track.
That's putting down to P20 overall. And he's got some making up to do, does Brad McCombs, but thankfully he had that fast repair in his back pocket and is able to continue it on. As we go back to your race leader, Dennis Diaz, look at the lead he has over Mark Dillon right now. That is pretty big, as Dillon, just as I say, that is now up to second place.
Yep, Dillon managing to get back around, managing to get around Tony Watson. Dillon is on a flyer. Boy, he takes Sunset Corner awful wide.
Yeah, Skip able to get around him. But here comes Dillon again, back on the attack as soon as he's lost the position. And is he going to try and sweep it around the outside through turn one here? Side by side, drag race in towards turn one. Going to take a very wide entry. Going to get the up and under here, going out of turn one. Great move here by Dillon if he can pull it up as they go side by side in towards turn two. Has to back out of it, but that would have been a fantastic move. He was able to pull off that up and under that he tried through turn one.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at the unconventional line that Mark Dillon Jr. has taken around, especially around Sunset and especially around turn one, and I'm writing notes in my personal notebook. I have got to try that. That was a beautiful move. It darn near worked, but discretion being the better part of valor, he backed out of it, didn't push a iffy position this early in the race, but I'll bet you he made a mental note for later on.
Michael McCoy, your GT3 leader, is out to a 2.3 second lead over The man that's now sitting in second in GT3, that's Safe Fairies. Right behind him is Derek Kozlowski, who's fallen back. Paul Boyle currently sitting in P4 in his BMW. Right behind him, about 2 seconds behind Boyle is Bryce Anderson. Then you got Zachary Nurnberger right there, just ahead of Sean Atkins, who's keeping him honest right there in that battle for P6 at the moment.
Yeah, Sean Atkins not having, the race that he was looking for. But that car has just got me all colorful. My eyes go hypnotized. I feel like I'm looking at, the world's fastest hippie with that paint job on there. But the creativity these guys put into their paint jobs and the time they put behind the wheel to practice for these races is astounding. It tells you this group has a passion for what they do.
Yeah, they do, and this is why we love this league so much, because they have such a big passion for racing. And no matter how fast or how slow you are, they are going to be here week in, week out, trying their best to get whatever positions they can, and they are doing it all the time. This is the second.
And they're not snobby about it. They're not snobby about it either. If you're having issues on the track, you want to improve, they will take the time to sit you into their learning tree and show you where to improve and how to improve. That's what I love about this group.
Big incident for Dillon Jr. was having such a great run and he's had a crash. And we're going to go back and take a look at what happened here to the Corvette driver, if iRacing will let me. I don't think it will, but Dillon Jr. has lost out there big time in his Corvette and is now dropped down to P5, a full 3 seconds behind Tyler Langenberg.
Dillon Jr., he was his own worst enemy on that one. A little bit of a mental lapse, a little bit of pushing too hard, and that's what can happen. He's not totally out of it. He's only back to 5th, but he can recover, see if he can gain some ground and take those spots back.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. He's showing a lot of good speed around here. He's already starting to close in on Langenberg. He's got that gap down to less than 2 seconds already. So Dillon not going to give this one up, and that goes to that just shows what we would just be talking about there, Byron. The absolute commitment of these drivers in this league is just unparalleled right now.
Yeah, and it's endurance racing.
Oh, no!
It's Dillon Jr. gets it wrong coming off of the S's. Noses it into the wall, gets it backed up, misses traffic. Oh, that was so rough.
Yeah, it was. But again, and I'm going to say it again, his commitment will not waver. He will try and get that position back as quickly as possible. And I hope we don't jinx him this time.
Yeah, broadcaster's curse. Send your hate mail to P.O. Box OU812, Cork, Ireland. I don't want to hear it. As Dillon Jr. falls all the way back to number 8.
Yeah, he does. No damage on his car, though, so he still has the full power of that Corvette underneath him. Meanwhile, though, he does... he's got a decent gap over Terry Calgar Jr. 8 seconds back, as we're looking at Daniel Barnett just coming out of pit road there.
I don't know if that was a scheduled stop or not. I can't imagine it being this early in the race. Only 10 laps in. As I've got my eyes on the battle in the GT3 class, Michael McCoy, he's out. Just getting around turn 1, and Safe Fairies is coming around turn 1, trying to catch him up. But don't look now. Krosnowski is not letting go of them.
Now, Krosnowski put it on pole for a reason. He knows his way around here. He's very fast around here. We've had an incident for Dave Ferrara. We'll go to that in just a second. They've completely gotten away from Paul Boyle, who's just coming under the Corvette bridge now. And the Tinder BMW, I didn't notice the paint scheme on that thing, is rocking Tinder tonight. Are they going to swipe left or swipe? Is his race going to swipe left or is it going to swipe right? We'll find out later.
Well, he's hoping to swipe one way or the other. I don't know what left or right does because I've never used Tinder.
Neither do I, but I'm sure he'll figure it out. If he gets on the podium, we'll find out. As we've got a battle here, but still going on between Nurnberger, Sean Adkins, and Bryce Anderson has joined this battle as well for what is 5th place in GT3?
Bryce Anderson looks like he has made the move, gotten it around Sean Adkins, move him on up into that 6th spot as he sets his sights on the tail end of Nürnberger coming through the S's.
Yeah, it needs to be careful though. I believe that's a GTE coming up behind him. I believe that might be Brad McCombs. It is. So the question is now, Brad McCombs is going to make his way through the GT3 field again. Will the GT3 cars battle him, or will they just let him by? Because obviously this is for overall position. You've got to think that surely the GT3s will be focusing on class position at this point.
Well, yeah, they should. You would think that they would get the blue flag to move over, but when they're battling for position, they're not going to want to get out of the throttle and let a car get by them. They want to stay in that, that fight, try to get the most they can out of it, get the positions they can in their class. They have their race to run too, and they have every right to do it.
Yeah, and you were right to say about Derek Kosnowski not giving up anything about this race win here tonight. He just set the fastest lap of the race in GT3. He just set a 2-minute dead, 0.34. Great time for him. Fastest lap of the race, just 1/100th of a second faster than Michael McCoy.
Yeah, these guys are running qualifying pace right now out here in race trim, out here on this track working traffic.
Yep, Alex Middleton has had another incident. He's jumped to pit road, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him back out very soon as Tony Watson's still trying to chase down Paul Skip for that second spot. But Skip has been able to get away here from Watson, and maybe that was a cork in the bottle situation, because now he can go off and go off in search of Dennis Diaz. But Diaz still on a pace which is almost about a second and a half faster than second place alone.
Well, Dennis Diaz, he qualified at 155.448. He's running 156s. He's only 1 second off the pace of qualifying, and he's got an 11-second lead over the field in GTE. It's his to lose if he gets caught up in somebody else's mistake, which is exactly what happened to him last time we were here at Sebring last year.
Yeah,
last season.
If my memory serves me correctly, it was Michael Ogren that got the win last time round, and a very well deserved. Obviously, Ogren calling it quits after season 1 for personal reasons, so big miss there in the season. But I'm sure if he has the option, he'll be back again in the future. But the racing is still amazing with these guys, despite losing one of the very important GTE drivers.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to see him come back. He was one that could give competition where it was needed. But competition, these guys, they get in a competition. It brings out the best in them. As Dennis Diaz is getting ready to put another lap on Rex Hoyle right now.
Yeah, Hoyle currently sitting in P9 in GT3, running the Colony Tyre and Service paint scheme this week, and he usually runs a different logo on his car, obviously. Repping somebody else this time, likes to run those white, sometimes orange paint schemes in that Mercedes.
I missed the Reese's paint scheme. You know who I'm talking about.
Yep, and I know exactly who you're talking about, and he's not here tonight, so...
No. I was hoping he'd be here tonight. Now he made me think of Reese's. Now I'm getting hungry.
I was going to say, is the store in his truck stopped 24 hour?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can go and get some Reese's after the broadcast then?
Trust me, it's already mental note been made.
What are you getting? Reese's Pieces, Reese's Nut Bar, Reese's Cups? What are you thinking?
Oh, no, we're doing the peanut butter cups. We're going old-fashioned. Only way to go.
I like the Nut Bar better. That's just my personal preference.
Skip, working traffic through the S's. Tony Watson not too far off of his back. And Oleg Vorotniak, after his adversities, we should say, he's a little bit further back, but it looks like Tony Watson is starting to close the gap a little bit on Paul Skip in second place.
He's definitely trying anyway, but not working out in his favor. He's already two and a half seconds off the back of Skip, and somehow Dennis Diaz has gained another 3 seconds over Paul Skip in the last 2 laps, because it was 11 seconds, now it's 14 seconds, so Diaz is still on a charge right now.
Yeah, Diaz, he's put that car pretty much in a whole nother zip code. He's found another gear, probably called warp drive, and pushed the cruise control set button on it as he's just cutting this track, just perfect lap after perfect lap.
Yeah, Robert Garcia currently out on track right now. Hit the wall at the end of lap 1, I believe it was, or lap 2. Has not looked back ever since. Currently sitting in a great P5 for him. That'll be the highest position he's ever finished in the GTE class, and still a lot of racing left to go though. Just over an hour of racing left to go, and currently sitting P5, not doing too shabby. One driver is back up, right up there again though. Dillon Jr. stalking the back of Ryan Tyler.
Yes, he is, and don't look now, but Terry Calger Jr., he's starting to catch that field back up, but I'm looking, he's got a little bit of rear wing damage on that car off the passenger side. Can't be helping his aero very much, but he'll probably take that fast repair when he comes in for his first pit stop.
Yeah, it's like that Formula One car that came out a few years ago where it had the rear wing like really offset, like one side was taller than the other. I think it was a Ferrari. I can't remember if it was or not. But it looks like that a little bit. But
do we really want to get into the rear wing debates about and the subject of Ferrari again this year?
Well,
and Red Bull.
It was Mercedes and Red Bull that were doing it. Ferrari are just trying to survive at the moment. Go back to Paul Boyle right there, currently sitting in P4 in GT3. Michael McCoy still not completely able to get away right now. The gap actually is down between himself and Safe Ferries. It's 2.4 seconds now. It was 3 seconds a couple of laps ago. Ferries is on a charge now.
Yeah, Ferries, he's stalking the back. He's making that Lambo handle. He's stalking the back of Michael McCoy just ever so slightly, eating into that time. And I'm wondering, is that lap traffic, slower traffic? Is it battles on the track? But they don't seem to have anyone around them. They just need to hit their marks. And Safe Ferries, he seems to be cutting that time down ever so slightly.
Yeah, the gap down to 2.3 seconds now. So Ferries is still closing in on McCoy. And the man that's won 3 races out of 4 so far this season for the first time. And we're going to discount his retirement from the second race of the season because at Hockenheim, because he only made it a couple of laps. But this is the first time we're actually seeing McCoy under intense pressure this season.
Well, if you want to call a 2-second gap intense pressure, as he works up on lap traffic.
Well, that's the closest we're sitting to him right now. The gap is less than 2 seconds now, by the way.
Yep, Safe Ferries is stalking him. This track seems to fit into Safe's more in his wheelhouse. I'm watching him get around the S's. He seems to be real smooth, holding a pretty wheel, just hitting his marks just right. And
Ferries is coming to pit road. Ferries in pit road.
Wondering if this is a planned stop 15 laps in.
Yeah, very early pit stop for Safe Ferries. He's going to bring it in, and he's going to be the first one to bring it in out of the GT3 class. Obviously, we've seen one pit stop out of GT3 already. That was from Daniel Barnett, but I don't think that was a scheduled pit stop for him in that BMW, as he runs a little bit wide for the left-hander. Only the one pit stop out of GTE, that was Brad McCombs, who is still trying to chase down those GT3 cars right now.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyeballs on Safe Ferries, who's in pit lane. I'm not seeing tires on the car. Nope, no tires as he takes on a full load of fuel back out on the track.
Roy Croft in as well. As here comes Tony Watson to pit road from third place in GTE. So GTE pit stop starting to happen as well now.
Wow, we are only 32 minutes into this thing, and we're already seeing green flag stop. So we're gonna see another green flag stop in this thing.
Yep. So Watson in his pit stop. We're seeing, I believe that's Keith Roycroft in the background in his pit stall. So watch for him. Well, we're focused on Tony Watson. Does he take tyres this time around? I shouldn't think he will, as it's a very long time taking fuel. Now, no tyres for Tony Watson.
Nope, full load of fuel. So it looks like they're finding the bottom of the tank. Looks like their range is going to be about 17, 18 laps. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes before our leader, Dennis Diaz, decides to bring his pit side. That's going to be the story that'll tell us how far these things can go before they find the bottom of the fuel tank.
Yeah, and I do have a correction here. Tony Watson isn't the first one to come down pit road, make a scheduled pit stop, because Tyler Langenberg made a pit stop a lap before Tony Watson and has got the jump on him through that pit stop. So Langenberg has made a move forward through that one. He's only 18 seconds behind Dillon Jr. as Dennis Diaz. You're right. How long will it be before he brings it down?
Yep, that's going to be the one that tells us. And make that right now.
The Diaz in
Dennis
pit road.
Diaz.
Diaz in pit road. The only driver that's realistically going to be able to catch him right now and overtake him, well, is Paul Skip. Wozniak might just get to him when he comes out of pit road, but as I say that, Paul Skip brings it to pit road.
Yeah, I think these cars have found the bottom of the fuel tank. They've hit the edge of their fuel range. Looks like 17 laps under anger is all you're going to get out of them, as Dennis Diaz is in pit side for his service.
Yep, Diaz in pit road. Paul Skip just coming down right now as Oleg Vorotniak comes through Sunset. He's going to bring it down pit road, as is Ryan Tyler. Mark Dillon Jr. and Robert Garcia both staying out on track.
Oh, pit entry. A little crowded there.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan Tyler's got a bit of front end damage on his car.
I think he picked that up on pit entry. They had a meeting of the minds there coming in.
Let's take a look and see what happened here. See if we can find it. This is Ryan Tyler coming into pit road right here. Oh yeah, it just ran right into the back of Oleg Vorotniak.
Yep. Not a very wide pit entrance here at Sebring.
No, it widens out once you get past
pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets wider once you get past the commitment cones. Here comes Terry Cowger Jr. Now, Cowger Jr. has also been down pit road. So he's on fresh
Tyler
tires.
Langenberg. Bad luck for Tyler Langenberg in the 91 GTE class car. The server has disconnected.
Oh no. So throughput there for Langenberg. He is out of the race. As things stand right now, he does have time to come back in and get, pick up the pieces of what's been left behind. Ryan Tyler. What's happened to Ryan Tyler? Tyler has got a penalty here. He's well in pit road for a long time.
He might have got a speeding on entry.
That might have been why
because
he ran into the back of
he
Brock
came
there.
in. Yeah.
The Tyler's still in pit road. We've got people down in pit road as well. Sean Adkins, Bryce Anderson and Zachary Nurnberger in pit road, as Michael McCoy is just on his way out of pit road as well. And McCoy rejoins behind Safe Fairies. The Fairies getting the undercut on Michael McCoy through the pit stops. Great run there for Fairies.
Yeah, and we've said it how many times when it comes to strategy, especially on the money stop, the last pit stop of the race. You want to be the first car to make your last stop, and Safe Fairies, by being the first car to make his stop, he got that undercut, got back out on the track, and was able to, pick him up and put him down, and got it out there in front of Michael McCoy. See if he can hang on to that lead.
Yep, Zachary Nurnberger coming out of pit road right now. Ryan Tyler is still in pit road, so his race might be over at this point if he continues to stay in pit road. But Mark Dillon Jr. and Robert Garcia both in pit road, and Garcia is the first driver to move. Dillon is going to move as well, but looks like Garcia is going to win the race out of pit road right here.
Yeah, because just as we were talking about that narrow pit entry, before the lane widens out. It's awful narrow getting out once you leave the pit stalls, and that's what happened right there. As Mark Dillon Jr. had to back out of it because those cars weren't going to fit through that too wide.
No, they were not. As
Ryan Tyler's still sitting on pit road.
yeah, I think he might be done here, and I think he is because I'm not picking him up on my overlay right now. As we've got a battle here between Mark Dillon Jr. and Robert Garcia for that 5th spot overall. Right behind him is Oleg Vorotniak. They both got the jump on Vorotniak through the pit stops, but this might be a 3-way battle for the last spot in the top 5 here between the 3 Corvettes.
The Corvette seemed to be the popular choice here at Sebring in the GTE class.
That they are. So Garcia out in front right now between those 3. Terry Calgar Jr. And I didn't see if he made it down pit road yet. The answer is yes. And he's got the jump on everybody. He's up to P4 now in that Porsche. Not burned his fast repair yet because you can still see the damage on his rear wing.
Well, if it's helping him, it's helping him. That's all you can say.
Yeah,
Dennis Diaz gets back across the start-finish line, heads it off into turn 1. Now we'll see with timing and scoring cycles everyone out after all these green flag stops.
Yeah, Diaz a full 14 seconds ahead of Paul Skip, who's just crossed the line now and gone in towards turn 1. Tony Watson is back in P3 now after his pit stop. Terry Calgar Jr., as already mentioned, got the jump on the Corvettes. He's up into P4. You've got Robert Garcia, Mark Dillon Jr., Oleg Vorotniak. Brad McCoon's back up to P8 after making his very early pit stop. Safe Ferries is your leader in GT3, and he's got a pretty big lead over Michael McCoy, 6.6 seconds over the Porsche right now.
Well, that was one heck of an undercut on that pit strategy that he used, being the first car coming in the GT3 class.
Yeah, Paul Boyle dropping to P4 after the pit stops. He's had a very lonely race so far as Paul Boyle. Derek Kozlowski is only 2 seconds behind Michael McCoy, so might have a battle here for second place right now. Boris Anderson was one of the late stoppers in this one. He's in P5 in GT3, a nice 16 seconds ahead of Zachary Nurnberger. And you've got Keith Roycroft. Sean Atkins has dropped some spots here through the pit stops. He's dropped down to P8 in GT3, only 3 seconds behind Keith Roycroft.
And I'm checking out pit lane. Ryan Tyler's still in pit lane. Got to wonder if he's going to bring that thing out or not, or he's calling it a night.
Well, we'll find out very soon. Tyler very lucky to be on the podium already this season. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen either. Doesn't look like Tyler Langenberg's going to come back in the session either. So his night is done. So the GTE field slightly depleted. Only 8 drivers left in the running in that class.
Yep, and if you're Brad McCombs, you picked up 2 spots due to attrition right there, and he's going to be looking. He's looking to try to get to the back of Oleg Vorotniak, but Vorotniak, he is about 9 seconds up the track, so there's going to have to be some strategy come into play here.
Yeah, and McCombs will be the first one to bring it down pit road. Obviously, like I said, he had to take it down pit road because of that damage he got from the hit from the incident with Atticus Middleton. And McCombs was in a very good running spot there before that happened. As Calgar Jr. and Robert Garcia, actually Calgar is just trying to put a lap on Keith Roycroft now. He's very urgent as he blinks the lights at the back of Roycroft there, trying to get around him.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you're going to have to let me through. I'm racing for position here. I need to get caught up. And I'm not in your class. Get out of my way.
Yeah, as it looks like Robert Garcia is starting to get away from Mark Dillon Jr. here in that battle for the 5th spot right now. Dillon struggling to get around Sean Atkins right there. Does finally get around him. And it looks like Vorotniak is not really closing the gap right now. That gap still holding out at about 1.9 seconds between the Sim Solution Corvette and the Pony Express Corvette of Mark Dillon Jr.
Yeah, but that battle between Robert Garcia and Mark Dillon Jr. is starting to heat up a little bit more. Because Mark Dillon Jr. is tracking down the 24 machine of Robert Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia having a great race so far. The only incident we've seen him have was the incident between himself and the wall on the entrance to the backstretch. As Dillon keeping that gap between himself and Garcia less than a second. So this is your closest battle out on track right now.
On the halfway point here, we got about, what, 3 more minutes till we hit the halfway mark at this one. Dennis Diaz, still your overall race leader in GTE class, legging it out. He's got a 16-second gap over second place Paul Skip in GTE. Safe Ferries, he's run away with that pit strategy. He is in command of the GT3 with Michael McCoy trying to track him down, but not really gaining much time on it.
The gap's still 6.6 seconds between McCoy and Ferries, but you got to watch for Derek Kozlowski behind him, because the gap between Kozlowski and McCoy now 1.7 seconds, so Kozlowski is on the move here.
Yeah, Kozlowski pushing a little harder now, trying to put the pressure pass on Michael McCoy to see if he can cause him to make a mistake by driving out of that rearview mirror a little more than he is on the windshield.
Yeah, McCoy has Dennis Diaz to deal with right now. So gonna have to wait for a safe spot to let him past. He does let him by right about now. Doesn't lose any speed in the process, and does keep that gap between himself and Kozlowski at around 1 second. So McCoy able to let Diaz by and keep the gap between himself and third place at a safe enough distance.
Is it safe to say that Dennis Diaz is out here trying to make a statement, saying it was a fluke that he lost Sebring last season?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, since missing that first race and retiring out of race 3, he's just been absolutely on. He's been on absolutely lethal form. Last week he got that damage after the contact he had with Terry Carragher Jr. at Road Atlanta. Had a damaged car all race long and still won it by 12 seconds. But here, he's just absolutely putting on a clinic. He's 17 seconds clear of second place and still almost a full second faster per lap than Paul Skip as it is right now.
Yeah, so far the fight's going to be for the last 2 spots of the podium in GTE class. As I'm focusing on our GT3 leaders, Safe Ferries, as Dennis Diaz, I can see him in the background trying to come up on him. As Michael McCoy still hasn't been able to close that gap, but Kozlowski has closed the gap on McCoy.
Yeah, that is your battle for second place in GT3. And who's going to come out on top in this one? Kozlowski put it on the pole. Has not been able to get up there since. But is really putting... And I said this earlier, this is the most pressure we've seen Michael McCoy under since he made his debut this season.
Yeah, Michael McCoy holding that pretty wheel. He's not paying attention to that rearview mirror. He's just going to race his race, run his line, and... going to force Derek Kozlowski to try to get around him. He's going to make him earn that position if he does get it.
Yeah, so it's Porsche on Porsche crime here as they come through the final part of the S's. Or for the first part of the S's. And here we go, on to the backstretch right now. And now you've got to think Kozlowski's got to use that draft off the back of McCoy to try and close in even further and try and get the better braking angle in towards Sunset Bend. He's looking for it right now, but you can see McCoy trying to break that draft down the backstretch right there. Not able to happen as Kozlowski closes in even more.
Now Kozlowski got a beautiful line around Sunset. Gets the most he can out of the momentum as they hustle it across the start-finish line, headed off to turn 1. And it seems to me he closes the gap up in the first half of the track, but McCoy is just faster on that second half.
There he is. As this battle's still going on, we've got a battle between Timothy Manueli and Cody Adkins right now. That is your battle for 10th place in GT3. And I've got to give a shout out to Timothy Manueli. Rocking the Niki Lauda special on his Ferrari, which is a great testament to the late Niki Lauda. Started from pit road, and he's up to P10 in GT3 already. Great run for him so far.
Yeah, real good run for him. If cross flags are in the air, we're halfway home, Sam.
That we are, and that means we are going to give you a rundown of the running order as things stand right now. Dennis Diaz is your leader, out by 17 seconds over Paul Skip in second in GTE. Tony Watson currently sitting in third in a Bromos Porsche. He's ahead of Terry Calgary, who's made a good recovery run so far in P4. Robert Garcia, your last driver in the top 5. He's managed to get away from Vorotniak and Mark Dillon Jr., who are in a battle for P6 right now. Brad McCombs is your last driver running in GTE. He is currently in P8. Then you've got in the GT3 class, Safe Ferris out to a decent lead over Michael McCoy, who's still trying to hold off Derek Kosnowski. Then you've got Paul Boyle in P4. P5 going to Bryce Anderson right now. Zachary Nürnberger in P6. Then Keith Roycroft, Sean Atkins, Rex Hoyle, Timothy Manueli, who we just mentioned is having that great run so far after starting from pit road. Cody Atkins in P19 overall, that's P11 in classes. Manueli got it all wrong through turn 1 there and lost the spot to Cody Atkins right there. We'll go to that in a second. Dave Ferrara in P21 right now, that is P13 in his Mercedes. Yeah, Jack Gunset, Tyler Langenberg is back on track after his connection issues. Daryl Whitford is out on track as well as Atticus Middleton. Your retirement so far tonight, looks like Ryan Tyler will not be making an appearance again. He's been in pit road for the longest time possible. Jeff Height and Gary Schilling also out. We're going to take a quick break here right now as we hit the halfway point. We will be right back in just a few moments as we're going to take a quick little break. Don't go anywhere. And we're back live here at Sebring. We've just seen a massive incident for Safe Ferries right there on the exit of the S's and into the backstretch right there. We're going to get a replay and take a look and see exactly what happened to him. He had Robert Garcia right behind him, took a very wide line here. And looks like he might have, yeah, he clipped the grass there and into the wall goes Safe Ferries. Very, very disappointing there. Just made his pit stop and had the run on Michael McCoy to get around him again through the pit stops. That's going to be a lot of damage on that Lamborghini now.
Yeah, well, he's going to be sorting that thing out to see how it handles as he brings it around Sunset and hustles it off over to turn one, across the start-finish line to turn one. As Mark Dillon Jr., he goes, yep, Safe Ferries, bringing it back to the pits again. Yeah. He's got massive damage on there. He's going to take that fast repair.
Yep, and he has. He's just coming out of pit road right now, and he came in, burned the fast repair, and came straight back out again. But that's going to put him well on the back foot now, and probably has thrown away that win. And that's going to leave Michael McCoy, as things stand right now, with a clear lead out in front by 8 seconds over Paul Boyle.
Now, has Michael McCoy made his second pit stop?
No, he has not. Safe Ferries is literally the only driver on the field right now that's made his second pit stop.
Well, we're going to see if that undercut pays off, because these other guys are going to have to be bringing it pit side, as they've got to be making their pits right about now as we're approaching the 55-minute mark. GT3 class might see another pit stop out of this if they're only getting, this much time out of a fuel run.
Yeah, looking at the GTE class, we're going to take a look at a replay of what happened to Brad McCombs during the break. And Byron, what was your opinion of this one?
Just a massive case of net code, because from the angle that I saw it, it looked like you could have put half a car in between them when Brad McCombs got sent around. That, is unfortunate. It happens in iRacing. We call it net code. There's a massive amount of space in between those cars, and the car reacts like he got hit. So unfortunate, for Brad McCombs. And then right after that, Mark Dillon Jr. got it off into the grass and got it loose as he was challenging Vorotniak, but Vorotniak getting into McCombs on net code. So McCombs is having a rough night tonight.
That he is. And we've had some messages in the chat right now. We've had Deborah Lynn V in the chat saying good luck to Brad. Obviously, she said hang in there, Brad. He's trying to, but he's not having it all his own way right now. Zicta is in the chat now. That's our good friend and Twitch streamer Zicta. She's paid us a visit and give us the devil's horns there. And Sharon Boyle saying, keep it up, Paul Boyle. Swipe right. Obviously paying homage to the Tinder scheme that's on his car right now. And it's going well for Paul Boyle right now. He's got ahead of Derek Kozlowski into second place.
Yeah, Paul Boyle, making it up into second, waiting for McCoy and Boyle to hit take their pit stops, and see where that's going to shuffle them out with Safe Ferries. Safe Ferries, he had the overall race lead in the GT3 class, and just one mental mistake, had to bring it in pit side again to get his repair, and we'll see where this all cycles out.
Well, he's behind Sean Adkins and putting him under pressure for that 5th spot in GT3, but he is so far back. He has got 11, once he's got past Sean Adkins, which he has done now, he's got an 11-second gap to make up to Bryce Anderson, but more disappointingly for him, he's got a 53-second gap to make up to Michael McCoy and Paul Boyle and Derek Kozlowski. So that is how much time he's lost through that incident right there.
Yeah, but if you think about it, how long are they on pit lane from the time they enter, get their service, to the time they leave? 53 seconds sounds like it could be putting him right there in the mix of things again.
Look at Keith Roycroft there and the number 48 Lamborghini with the Italian flag on the back. Thanks for that, Keith. He's just made his second and last pit stop right now. I believe Mark Dillon Jr. is in pit road, and he is. Mark Dillon Jr. in for a second stop.
was it that put on their car, "Me Lucky Charms, just for you"?
I have no idea. I think it was Jason Papp in the Brandon Energy Cup Series. But Oleg Vorotniak in P6 right now. Robert Garcia having a great run here tonight in P5. Not had the results go his own way so far this season. I remember him having a pretty big off at Hockenheim. Very good run for him tonight. Still about 15 seconds off the back of Terry Calgar Jr. right now, though.
Yeah, everything pretty much strung out in the GTE class. If everything stays static with them, you're pretty much, I think, looking at the finishing order for these guys as we're coming up on the 30-minute to go mark.
That we are. And there is Garcia just coming through the S's right now. Terry Calgar Jr., great recovery for him so far. You got to think that he will burn his fast repair once he brings it in. He's just got around Paul Boyle to put another lap on him. And
oh man, if you're Terry Calgar Jr. and the car's handling just fine and you're making up time, do you really want to repair it?
Oh, I don't know. It's I mean, it doesn't cost you any time, so may as well. Tony Watson having a good run tonight. He's in P3, just getting around Timothy Manueli. Just an update on Timothy Manueli. Remember, he started from pit road. He's already up to P9 and only 1.7 seconds off the back of Zachary Nurnberger. And Manueli, probably our driver of the night so far. Great run for him so far.
Yeah, that's, talk about sticking to it. Started from the pits, dead last. Huge deficit to make up. And he's not only made up a bunch, but he's passed a bunch. And it's not just attrition that's done it. He's done it by wheeling that car better than everyone yet behind him has.
Yeah, using the spirit of Nicky Lauda to guide him on, and it's really working out for him with that Nicky Lauda special on his car. Dave Ferries, meanwhile, back up to P5, but has still got a considerable gap to make up to Bryce Anderson. Thankfully for Safe Ferries, though, he has made his final pit stop and might be able to get a few positions back through that, but he's really got to leg it out from between now and that point.
I don't know if he can go another 30 minutes, Sam.
We know he's going to try.
At this point, you have to.
Yeah, and Ferries definitely is faster than Michael McCoy. We've seen that already here tonight, as I believe Paul Skip in pit road from second place here, Byron.
Yeah, we're starting to see the money stops for the GTE class. But like I said, they're sprung out to the point where I think we're pretty much seeing where they're going to run.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Watson now to second place, but we've got to be expecting him to come down pit road very soon in response to Skip coming down. Terry Calgar Jr. has just got around Skip to move up to third place now. Skip on his way back out did not take tyres, so it's going to be a full run on just fuel. It's going to be a full run to the end without changing tyres once again for these guys.
I can't imagine doing a full run, a full hour and a half. We're going to be doing the 24 at Spa. Can you imagine going an hour and a half on one set of tires at Spa?
Depends on the track conditions. Obviously, we've seen on our test runs that we've had pretty good tyre wear, so it's a possibility we could do a double tyre run, but we're not going to risk it.
I'll leave that for the aliens to do. I just want to hold serve when I get my time behind the wheel.
Tony Watson now just coming up behind, I believe. That's Daryl Whitford. He's coming around right now, and Whitford missing the front end of his car. Luckily, the engine is in the back, so he's got no worry. Actually, these Ferraris are mid-engine cars, so he's not got any worries about any front end damage at the moment. So he can carry on his merry way without a frunk.
He's got the lid off the boot, as they say. Just a big giant air scoop, getting fresh air to that engine. No chance of overheating there now.
Well, there's no engine in the front of the Ferrari. It's, they call it a frunk. It's a similar configuration to how it is on the Porsche. The engine in the back, or the middle in this case, with the mid-engined Ferrari, but and the boot, or the trunk as they call it, at the front. So there you go. Terry Calgar Jr. in pit road now.
Yeah, we're seeing the final pit stops for GTE take place. I haven't seen Dennis Diaz come down yet. I'm imagining as he comes to the pit lane, he'll probably be taking a pit side this time around. We'll have to wait and see.
We've seen an incident for Timothy Manueli. He's just coming to pit road without a front end on his car. Let's take a look and see what happened. It's coming onto the backstretch again. I'm going to be guessing it's going to be the same incident as what happened to Safe Ferries, and it is, and there's a big hit into the tyre wall for Emanuele, and that's not what you want to see after such a great run so far.
No, it's not, but thank God for fast repairs.
Yep, and as I expected, Terry Carragher Jr. took his fast repair. So if you think he was running fast while that rear wing was damaged, how fast is he going to run now it's fixed?
Well, we'll have to see if he's got anything for Dennis Diaz, if he's got anything for Tony Watson, if he's got anything, for Paul Skip. He's made up a lot of time on the track, after his early woes, we'll call them.
Yeah, as Bryce Anderson having another off track right there, that's going to hand the position over to Safe Ferries, and Anderson again, as it has been all season long for him so far, having another difficult race here at Sebring. I'm thinking he's going to have to move back to GTE at this point if he's having such a difficult season in GT3.
You would think that the GT3 cars would be the easier class to drive, being the slower car with ABS, but it doesn't seem to be that way.
No, it's not. But Bryce Anderson is about to be swallowed up by the race leader, Dennis Diaz. And Diaz is 59 seconds ahead of Paul Skip right now after, I believe, Tony Watson has just taken it down pit road. And he's in pit road right now. Actually, Watson's been in pit road for a long time. No, he hasn't. I apologise. I don't know why it's showing Tony Watson down in P11 overall. There it is. It's just righted itself. He rejoins in P4 as here comes Dennis Diaz, I believe. No, he's just coming through the S's right now. You've got to expect him to come down pit road anytime now.
Yeah, he was the last one to take his service the last time around, so he's probably going to be the last one to take it this time around. He's got a comfortable lead, so he doesn't have to push it too hard. He can hit his marks, not get his speeding on entry, get into his pit without sliding through it, get his service done, and get back out on the track. Heck, he could probably even take a fresh set of tires if he wanted to and still hold serve.
Yep, as he does bring it down pit road right now. Dennis Diaz from the lead. He has a 1 minute lead over Paul Skip right now. So, like you said, Byron, he can come in, take tyres and fresh fuel and get out in front still. As Robert Garcia, you've got to expect him to be bringing it down pit road on this lap as well.
Keep my eyes on the leader, Dennis Diaz, to see what he does with his service. In his pit stall, fuel going in.
Yeah, he's got fuel coming in his coming into his car. And will he take the extra luxury of having tyres? The answer is not yet, anyway. As we're still focused on that meme MW. And no, does not take tyres. So
no, he doesn't.
He really wants to take it to these guys and show them what he's made of. As Paul Skip makes his way through Sunset Bend now, way behind Dennis Diaz, who's comfortably out of turn 1 and making his way towards turn 2. And that just shows the whooping he's putting on the field right now, Dennis Diaz. Wow, he comes out 17 seconds clear of Dennis Diaz, of Paul Skip. Robert Garcia still out on track right now, still not taking it down pit road. You got to think he's got to come in soon before that fuel tank runs out. About to put a lap on Tyler Langenberg, and again, big heartfelt commiserations for Langenberg. Was running in a top 5 position. Unfortunately, his connection and letting him down here tonight.
Yeah, it happens. We've seen it happen. We've had it happen to us, so.
Yeah, unfortunately we have, as he makes his way through the tight right-hander just ahead of Robert Garcia, who's still yet to come down pit road. Just had a message from Marcus Osborne, says Zach, stop being slow. I'm guessing he was referring to Zachary Nurnberger. A bit of banter there between the two Pony Express drivers. So, looking forward to seeing Marcus back next week. Hopefully he brings that Reese's paint scheme with him.
Yep, that's what I'm looking for.
Yep. So, here we go. We're into the final. We're about to hit into the final 20 minutes of the race here, and not really any battles to speak of right now. Timothy Manueli, who dropped to P13 after that incident, is right behind Dave Ferrara right now. That's your closest battle out on track for that 12 spot in GT3, and everything else pretty much spread out at this point. Oh, as Ferrara gets it all wrong there.
Yep, and that allows Timothy Manueli to get right around him.
Yep. As right behind him is Rex Hoyle as well, but Hoyle is currently
He's a lap up on him.
Yeah, he is. He's currently sitting in P5 in class right now as he's trying to get around Dave Ferrara, and Ferrara not making it easy for him.
Well, Ferrara took a really unconventional line around those S's.
Yeah, he did. As Hoyle just makes it easy. No, Ferrara going to come back at him. Wow. Ferrara not making it easy at all.
He looks like he's got his hands full right at the moment with that Mercedes.
That he does, as he is currently sitting, as I mentioned, P13 right now. Emanuele 46 seconds off the back of Daniel Barnett. And Barnett has had a very quiet race here tonight. This is probably the first time we've actually mentioned him here tonight.
There's always that one driver that's going to slip up under our radar. As we talk about him, he goes off into the grass a little bit.
And right behind him, Bryce Anderson just
right
went
behind him.
That was Bryce Anderson off again. The Barnett now up to P10 in class. Bryce Anderson has fallen outside the top 10 now after all the incidents he's had here tonight. Really costed him. He's now down in P11 in GT3.
Yeah, Bryce Anderson, now is that time. We've talked about it. How many times in endurance racing, Sam? You need to stay mentally sharp, and the mental fatigue starts taking its toll. And this is a track that you as a driver really do not get a rest. You get that long straightaway in the backstretch. That's about it. So you're getting maybe 20-second, 10-second break in having to figure what you're going to do with the car. You're always on the wheel here at Sebring.
Yeah, as he is trying to, damage limitation from this point for Bryce Anderson. Zachary Nurnberger is getting some stick in the chat right now, but Jocelyn Osborne says, let's go, Zach. So he gets some support at least, and Marcus Osborne says he'll be back in 2 weeks. So he's taking a 2-week vacation, it sounds like.
Well, hopefully he'll bring the Reese's car back, because that was a good luck car that night, and I hope to see it on the track again.
Yeah. And it stops making Byron feel hungry.
Yep.
We've got a big incident here. Sean Atkins involved, from what I can see. And that's through Sunset Bend here, Byron.
Yeah, he's still having trouble. Up against the wall. Bad spot to be in with cars coming off of the Sunset Bend.
Oh, Roycroft involved.
Where he's parked on the track, where Sean Adkins is parked on the track, was not a good spot to be in.
Yeah, as we just saw right there, Adkins got it completely wrong. Going into Sunset, ran too far wide and into the tyre wall. And gonna get another look here and find out exactly what happened here, but it was it's not gonna show me. As we've had another crash here for Safe Fairies, and again Fairies just running wide on the entrance to the backstretch. So Fairies, carbon copy mistake again for him. He's just gone straight into that tyre wall onto the backstretch.
Yeah, the mental fatigue starting to take its toll here as we're coming up on 15 minutes left in this race.
Now, Ferry's still out on track with that front end damage, but he's just got to hold it out to the end now. Just over 15 minutes left in the race, and he's currently sitting P4 in class, 18 seconds off the back of Derek Kozlowski. From what I can see right now, though, Paul Boyle is currently your leader and just bringing it down pit road now, 27 seconds ahead of McCoy. Now this has to be a good pit stop from Boyle.
Yeah, Boyle does not need to get a speeding in. He needs to hit his marks in the pit, which is easy enough to do at 45 mile an hour. As he brings it in pit side, I see fuel going in. I'm going to keep my eyes on him, see if he takes tires or if he brings it right back out.
It should bring it right back out, but question is, where is he going to feed right back out? As here comes Michael McCoy to retake the lead here in his Porsche. So Boyle going to drop to second at least as he comes out of pit road right now. And where is Derek Kozlowski? Just coming down the start-finish straight right now as he's just trying to get around Daniel Barnett. Meanwhile, Paul Boyle able to rejoin in second place. Good pit stop from him.
Yeah, Paul Boyle's got second place, but Derek Kozlowski is not that far back that it isn't, out of the realm of possibilities that he can catch him.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. We're maybe less than 15 minutes to go, but we've seen in the past that even in those 15 minutes, anything can happen. And even in the very first race we broadcast with these guys at Canadian Tire, we saw things happen within the last 5 minutes. So we're not going to count anything out just yet. We're just going to go to a battle between Cody Atkins and Zachary Nurnberger right now. These two fighting it out for what is the 6th spot in GT3.
Yeah, every spot is precious when it comes to the points, for the championship. So they're going to fight and they're going to stay after it for overall position, for position in class. They're not going to give up until the checkered flag flies.
That they are not, as they come into the long backstretch right now. Looks like Nurnberger got the better run going onto that straight right there as Cody Adkins trying to stay with him. Looks like Rex Hoyle is just coming out of pit road as well, so they could have had an advantage there on Rex Hoyle, but Hoyle just too far away as they come into Sunset Bend. Looks like Nurnberger going to get a better run into Sunset and start to get away from Cody Atkins. Atkins needs a better run out of Sunset and down towards that turn 1 if he wants a chance of getting around Nurnberger. Just doesn't have it right now. A bit too far back for that Falcon number 81, sorry.
Yeah, doing everything he can to try to get up into the draft as he's right back. Atkins is right up onto the tail of Nurnberger here as they headed into the S's on the front half of the track. It's on the second half that Nurnberger was able to stretch it out. We'll have to see if that's the tail of the tape one more time.
We've had an incident for Tony Watson here. If I can take a look and see what happened to him. He's still in third place, however, so it hasn't lost too much, but let's take a look and see what happened here. Oh, that back end, well, that's a telling tale that those tires are starting to go off here now, Byron.
Yeah, he got it up onto the turtles, and it upset the car a lot. Got it off into the grass, and snap, see you by, the rear end come around on him.
Now the back end not happy under braking, and that is a telltale sign that the tires are really starting to get down to the end of their life now, and they really have to be careful in this last part of the race now.
Yeah, Tony Watson, he's got plenty of time. He was able to get it right and pointed in the right direction fairly quick, so he wasn't in any danger of losing a spot. Like we said earlier, GTE's pretty much got themselves sorted out as to the way they're going to finish here in the track. But our GT3 class is still got a little bit of battling going on in a few spots.
Yeah, as we're looking at the battle again between Nurnberger and Cody Atkins. And 1 second while I get this one sorted. There we go. As Atkins has been faster than Nurnberger by quite some margin over the last few laps here. So I'm wondering how long it's going to be before Cody Atkins actually puts a proper concrete attack on Nurnberger. We've got a problem for Atkins. He's backed off for some reason.
I have to go back and take a look to see what happened there.
He just literally backed off right there. I wonder if he might be... He can't be low on fuel because he's obviously been in and took a fresh tank of fuel. But he just gave up on that battle between himself and Zachary Nürnberger just out of nowhere.
Well, it looked like he got up on the brakes, and the brakes didn't want to release on him. And he might have had a hardware issue there.
Maybe, but
Robert Garcia is all over his tail right now.
Garcia's got around him already. And here comes Michael McCoy to put a lap on Cody Adkins. As wow, Atkins not going to make it easy for him going through that section. It's very easy. It's very easy to get in the way of a car trying to lap you through that section, so I can't really blame Atkins for getting in the way there. And McCoy's just going to have to be patient here and just wait for an ideal opportunity to get around that BMW. Atticus Middleton going to have to get out of the way of these guys, and he does. Great heads-up driving there by Atticus.
Yeah, Atticus, you know, we've seen that he was the cause of issues before, but I am going to tell you what, Sam, I'm going to do nothing but put feathers in the cap of Atticus Middleton. He is sticking with it. He's listening to what the other drivers are having to say to him to improve his racecraft. He knows to now watch his relative. He's getting out of the way. He has shown improvements by leaps and bounds. Yes, Atticus may be 6 laps down in this thing, but I'm going to call him the most improved driver I've seen from season to season so far in this league, you know, because he is actually starting to take racecraft into account. He knows his limitations, and he knows what, you know, he's not being a problem. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, he's up to P13 in class right now. That makes it 22nd overall. And you got to think about it. The only real incident he's had here tonight is that incident between himself and Brad McCombs. Other than that, he's just been trying to get to the end of the race, and that's the best you can do, pretty much. Even if you're not the fastest out there.
That's right, and he's also taking coaching from the other drivers. You know, he's paying attention to his relative. He sees the flashing lights behind him, and we've seen him move over to spots of the track. He's gotten off of the racing line to let the faster cars go by.
Battle in GTD right now, and that is right behind Atticus Middleton. Brad McCombs putting a move on Oleg Vorotniak to move himself up to P8 right now. P7, sorry. As that was a very, very forceful move there by Brad McCombs. He's had enough. He just wants to get to the end of this race, but if he's going to take somebody with him, it's going to be Oleg Vorotniak.
Well, Vorotniak got into the back of McCombs earlier on, but like we said, that was netcode. I don't know if McCombs knows that right now, so he might be driving with a bit of an agenda, but when he goes back to this broadcast and rewatches it, he'll see the netcode, you know, that caused that accident, and all will be forgiven. Pretty
much. As McCombs now up to P8, now he's got a bit of a decent gap to make up to Mark Dillon Jr. 5.3 seconds is the gap between himself and the league owner.
He just had an off right in front of McCombs.
Yeah, and that was Cody Atkins, I believe.
Yes, it was. Cody Atkins continuing to have problems in that BMW.
Yeah, we're going to go back and take a look at what happened here for Atkins. And he had Mark Dillon Jr. right behind him. And again, it's that runoff area on the entrance to that back stretch that is causing those GT3 cars a lot of problems. It just spits them out into the wall.
I don't know if that's a mental error at this point. I don't know if that's track being rubbered in, tires being worn out, a combination of everything. Don't know. But, you know, I'm going back to that netcode incident that happened between Brad McCombs and Oleg Vorotniak, and that's going to bring me to something and I know I'm talking out of school and saying it on air, but when we run the 24 Spa, we need to be very aware of what's around us, because netcode can take us out.
Yeah, it can. As I'm looking for that incident, we're going to go back and take a look at it, if I can. It won't let me. Anyway, as we're still looking at Cody Atkins, he's still in P7 and is 19 seconds off the back of Zachary Nürnberger now, so that battle really went by the wayside very quickly. As we've got just over, and we're just coming to actually now 6 minutes to go in this race.
6 minutes to go to decide it. GTE is pretty much sorted out. Dennis Diaz up on top. Paul Skip in second place. Tony Watson, a strong showing in third. Terry Calgar Jr., through early adversity and stick-to-itiveness, back up to fourth place. Mark Dillon Jr. rolling, or Robert Garcia. Oh! As Brad McCombs gets it all wrong, headlong into the wall. Oh, my God.
And that is another incident there for the man in the 23. Let's take another look and see what happened to him here, if it's going to let me.
It looked like he just had too much rear brake bias on that, got on the brakes, tried to do a bit of trail braking coming around the corner, got, snap, see you bye, head into the wall.
And again, it's that corner, once again, if you get it wrong, it's just going to spit you out into the wall. And that's exactly what has happened to Brad McCombs here. We're going to see it right here. There's obviously a bit of netcode involved in this as well. We're not a netcode, it's going to be a bit of a blinking issue. There you go. But, yeah, again, it's that corner, the exit of that corner, just, if you get it wrong, it's going to spit you out into the wall. We saw that with the GT3 drivers. That's the first time I've seen it happen to a GTE driver, though.
Well, it just tells me that that's that corner. If you apply too much brake going around that corner, which it looked like he needed to do to stay out of the back of the car in front of him, it just upset the car and shot him into the wall. That's one of those corners that you just cannot brake around.
Yeah, so McCombs now 7 seconds off the back of Oleg Vorotniak. And Vorotniak is going to be breathing a big sigh of relief after this one. The man that Brad McCombs is making his way around right now, Paul Boyle, having a fantastic race in that Tinder BMW. Second place, now 4.6 seconds ahead of pole sitter Derek Kosnowski. A very good night for the Englishman.
Yeah, very good night for him. And State Ferries, man, heartbreak kid of the night. Had the car with the pace to win, and just, mental mistakes on the track in an endurance race can do it to you, and that's kind of what happens. We are under 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and it's just plain sailing for Dennis Diaz and for Michael McCoy. At this point, your same winners from last week going to be putting on a great show again here tonight. McCoy was under a lot of pressure for the most part in this race, though. He is probably going to be breathing the biggest sigh of relief out of both winners here tonight.
Yeah, and this was the first race that we saw McCoy under pressure and under attack from another driver for the longest time. And I was really impressed with the way Michael was able to handle that pressure from behind him. He didn't alter his line. He didn't look like he started driving out of the rearview mirror. Looked like he just, stuck to business as usual and kept that car pointed where it needed to be.
No, he did. And he's only got, I reckon, about 2 more laps before it is the end of his race here tonight. Just making his way, trying to make his way around Zachary Nürnberger right now as they come under the Corvette Bridge and down towards the this tight right-hander under the Mobil 1 Budweiser Bridge. But Dennis Diaz on his penultimate lap, I believe. It's a 2-minute lap around here, so you've got to think it's his penultimate lap.
Well, we usually hit the time +1.
Yeah, so we'll find out in just a second as he's just making his way through the final part.
Well, I'm
sure
we'll see him start, swerving it back and forth, flashing the headlights, and all of that good, happy hoo-ha, as Dennis Diaz normally does when he does win a race. He looked for redemption here at Sebring from the last time he was here. He found his redemption here at Sebring from the last time he was here, and he not only did it, but he did it with darn near 20-second lead on the field.
That he did as he comes through towards the S's. And you got to think the next lap will be his final lap with less than 2 minutes to go in this race. As he makes his... He's just got to cruise it to the end right now. 17 seconds ahead of Paul Skip. A full 41 seconds ahead of Tony Watson. It's just plain sailing for him as we've got another incident for Cody Atkins. He's got some rear wing damage on that car now.
Yeah, Cody Atkins is trying to leg it out to the end of the race, which is right upon us here. as everyone will get shown the white flag, I'm pretty sure, as Dennis Diaz comes around to take it.
Yeah, white flag will be in the air now as he comes through Sunset Bend. With 1 minute left to go in the race, this will be the white flag for the man that will surely take another step towards the top end of the point standings. White flag in the air for Dennis Diaz.
Yep, final lap going on here at Sebring. It was an eventful race from here in Florida. We didn't see the close racing that we've seen at other tracks. And I think that just lends to the fact that this track is such a fast sweeping track. It doesn't have the elevation changes, but it does have the technical things. We saw that one corner biting a lot of GT3 cars in the butt, and it bit a couple of GTEs, as we've seen. If you got the braking wrong, shot you into the wall. As Dennis Diaz heads it off to the back half of the track on his last final lap, he'll be looking for the checkered flag next time by.
Just in safe fair is going for a splash and go at the end of this race. He's got a big enough gap over Rexall to make it and come back out again, but you were right about Fairey's not able to make it the full way on that last tank of fuel, so he had to come in, get some fuel, go back out again, but again, still going to be safe in P4 as we're looking at Dennis Diaz making his, basically, this is his victory lap coming around here right now.
Yeah, he could actually, run it out of fuel, probably coast it home from here, as he's got a good 17, 18 seconds on second place Paul Skip. And don't take anything away from Paul Skip. He ran a masterful race, a steady race, and kept it right there in that second position. Tony Watson rolling in the third position. I can't take anything away from him. And Terry Calder Jr. from early race adversity brings it home, is going to bring it home in the fourth.
Yep, as we take a look back at Dennis Diaz right now in that Meme MW, another masterful drive here by the reigning champion, and he's going to bring it up to Sunset Bend for the final time, maybe even put another lap on Dave Ferrara for good measure. But here we go into Sunset Bend for the final time. He is going to dive it in on Ferrara. Just make another example of a driver. But out of the final turn, and another race win on the season, is third in total. Dennis Diaz wins at Sebring.
Yep. Barney the Flagman waves the checkers for Dennis Diaz, as Michael McCoy now is your leader in the GT3 class, as he's bringing it around through the S's, headed to the back half of the track. He's going to be closing in for his final lap here.
Yeah, as Paul Skip crosses the line for second place, Tony Watson will cross the line for third. He's just coming into Sunset Bend right now. Just getting around Atticus Middleton, but that won't cause him too many problems. Comes down to the line. Tony Watson, another podium on the night for him, as Michael McCoy will make his way through this final S's section and bring his way to the checkered flag. We're just waiting for him to cross the line. We've already had Safe Ferries cross the line in GT3. Boyle and Kosnowski are only 10 and 15 seconds behind him respectively. So the gap between the top three not as spread out as we thought, as it looks like Brad McCombs is going slow right there. Just lets Michael McCoy by as McCoy goes onto the backstretch. He will have that last little run towards the checkered flag. And let's not forget, this is going to be 4 race wins out of 5 for this man as he comes through Sunset Bend for the final time in the Porsche. It's the first time we've seen him run the Porsche all season long, and it's worked out well for him this time. Although it was a bit closer, he still comes out on top. 4 race wins out of 5. That will go nicely in the books for Mr. Michael McCoy, and he will, I've got to assume he's going to take over the points lead after this one.
Yeah, well, you know what? Either that or he's going to have to add some support, to the shelf that he's putting the trophies on. 4 out of 5, that is amazing.
Yeah. Brad McCombs is having a bit of fun there with Cody Adkins, but that is pretty much your field across the line right now. I think Brad McCombs is out of fuel. That's why Cody Adkins is pushing him, as Dennis Diaz is going to do burnouts.
Looks to be the problem.
Yeah. Oh no!
Pushes him right into him.
Yeah, so that's the only incident Dennis Diaz has had all night, as that is the race done
Yeah,
now.
I just jumped into the cockpit with Brad McCombs. He's coming around over the line. Scotia on fuel, engine off.
That he is, but we are going to go straight to the interviews right now. We're going to find the man that absolutely dominated the race here tonight. Actually, I don't think he's in Discord. Oh, there he is, as we're going to bring him in, as we're going to send Byron down to him right now. He has the race winner with him at this moment.
Dennis Diaz. Oh my God, man. You were looking for redemption at Sebring. You found redemption at Sebring. Not only found it, you ran away with it. You put it into, you said, I'm taking this ball home. I don't want to play no more. Congratulations, man. Top spot. Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting it. This morning I wasn't feeling so confident with the car. Like I wasn't getting the times I was getting in the previous practices. So when I rocked up to practice and set it 155s again, and then into qualifying, I was just like, okay, well maybe I've gotten it back. And then when the race started, something happened to Terry. He was like off of my relative. I think he spun or something. And then I was pulling a gap constantly, and luckily I was just really consistent and just kept pulling the gap. And once I started realizing people were kind of really far away, then I could just manage the gap and take it home.
Well, did you ever at any spot, watching that relative talking about managing the gap, did you ever back it off and quit being so aggressive because you knew you had a 15-second plus lead and just kind of held serve?
Yes, a little bit, a tiny bit, enough to not like send myself off the track and to keep the tires sort of kind of alive. So especially at the last sector, the last stint, they were going off.
Yeah, it looked. I noticed you looked like you were pushing, especially around that first set of S's, after, off of the front straight on that last stint. But you held it together. You brought home the win. Anyone you want to shout out to before we let you go celebrate and put your car back together after Brad McCombs kind of plowed into you out of gas?
Friends, family watching finally got redemption from last season, and then Joe Hutchings from Hutchport Racing for making the livery again. It just keeps winning, and to everyone else has competed so far, it's been good racing against them, and definitely made me sweat a couple of times with them chasing behind me. So definitely shout out to them and Mark and everyone from Pony Express making the league and hosting everything. So yeah, just shout out to everyone basically.
Oh, right on, man. Hey, everyone, that is your race winner, the 420 Meme MW, Dennis Diaz.
Thank you. That was Dennis Diaz joining us from the victory lane. Now, joining myself from second place is the man that finished second. That's Mr. Paul Skip, bringing out the JPS Porsche once again. And Paul, from your perspective, a pretty quiet race tonight.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. After the last half of the race, the first few laps were pretty exciting, though. I had Terry lose it in front of me, and then I had a wild GT3 car in front of me in Le Mans there, and I had to woe up for my slowdown penalty, and then I had to deal with Tony and Mark for a while there. So it was pretty interesting up front, but.
Yeah, but another podium on the at the end of this one again tonight, Paul. Your season going very well so far, especially picking up a race win a couple of weeks ago. But you still need to kind of step it up a level to get to the back of Diaz. I feel.
I think had I not had all those mistakes in the beginning of the race, I would have kept the gap closer at least. But yeah, you're 100% correct. Dennis is just on another level. I'm gonna have to work on getting my times closer and see if I can't give him a run for the money one of these days.
Absolutely, and just talk about the racetrack here tonight. Obviously, you suffered a slowdown penalty, which almost cost you that second place here in this race, but very bumpy around here. How are you able to handle it around there, especially with not taking tires throughout the full race?
Well, you just got to be easy on it, especially where it transitions from asphalt to concrete. If you're too hard on the brakes at those transitions, you just kiss that corner goodbye, especially the hairpin, and I think it's Castle or Tower or one of the ones in the middle there. The bumps, it's Sebring, man. They're there. They're not going anywhere. You just got to deal with them. Try to find a smooth line through sunset and try to hit it every time is more important.
Yeah, and you did. Second place here tonight. But next week, we go from the bumps to the bumpy surfaces to the smooth surfaces as we head across the pond to the Circuit de Catalunya. What are your thoughts heading into that one as we head to Spain for the first time in the league's history?
It's not one of my favorite tracks, but it is nice to have a full Grand Prix track with all the runoff and nice passing areas. So I'm looking forward to it. Actually, at least it's not the new GP; it's the historic, so we don't have to deal with those chicanes before the final turn.
Absolutely. Going to be fun when we head there next week. But for now, before I let you go and celebrate your second place here, Paul, give us some shout outs. Who's responsible for putting that JPS Porsche into second place here tonight?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Steph, for putting up with me in this hobby of mine. Love you. And I'd like to thank everybody in the league, first-class drivers, the whole group. You guys are awesome. I look forward to racing with you guys every week. I don't even do officials anymore. I love this league so much.
All right. Well, Paul Skip, another podium on the season for you tonight. Go and celebrate, get yourself some rest, and we'll catch you next week when we head to Spain and the Circuit de Catalunya.
Thanks, guys.
That was Paul Skip joining us from second place in GTE. Now joining Byron from Victory Lane once again is your GT3 winner 4 times in 5 races. That would be Mr. Michael McCoy.
Well, you know what? You're going to have to put some reinforcement on the trophy shelf. The way you're just knocking them down, Sebring looked like it suited you. Today was the first race that I saw that you had some serious pressure from another driver. Safe Ferries was up on you until he ran into a couple of mistakes that dropped him back. But you looked to be able to handle that very well, not drive out of the rearview mirror, but keep focused on the windshield. Congratulations on the victory once again, man. Tell me about it.
Thanks again, guys. Yeah, I had to dig deep for that one. That was a tough race. I was trying to stay patient at the beginning when Derek was out in front of me, and I realized that I needed to get past him because I was falling victim to Safe, and I pulled off that move, and then Safe got around Derek, and then we were holding that gap around 2 seconds, and I was trying to keep it there because I couldn't pull away, and then I saw him pit maybe 2 laps earlier than me, and I was like, okay, there he goes. He's going to get me on the undercut, and then my end lap for the pit stop, I ran into like a back marker. It was an eventful race.
Yeah, it looked like it. And yeah, on that undercut, he did get you. You lost the lead on that undercut to a big time. But, we were questioning whether he was going to, that put him on a cycle to whether he could make it to the end or not. And it actually worked out that he couldn't. He had to come and take a splash and go right there at the end. But you wound up in victory lane for the 4th time out of 5 races. What's your feelings going ahead, moving across the pond over to Spain?
Catalunya is a great track. I've lapped a lot there in other sims and F1 cars, so I'm pretty familiar with it. It'll be a little bit different this time since we're racing the classic layout without that odd chicane before the front straight, but I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to the competition that Derek and Paul and Safe bring every week. And I was hoping Matthew was going to be in the mix tonight. I'm not sure what happened to him, but yeah, I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing it. And like I said, man, the way you guys race and the show you put on, you make our job a pleasure and make being a broadcaster real easy. Congratulations on the win. Go celebrate.
Thanks a lot, Byron and Sam. You guys have a good one.
All righty, that's your race winner in the GT3 class, everyone, Michael McCoy.
So that was, Michael McCoy joining us in the booth now, joining me from second place in GT3. And I bet he's absolutely knackered at this point. But Paul, second place on the night, really swiped right on that Tinder car tonight.
Yeah, no, new livery, new me. That one felt good.
Yeah, definitely looked good for yourself. Obviously, you had some pretty hefty competition around you. Safe Ferries right up there. Derek Kozanowski always up there as well. Just talk about your race there. It looked like you had a very smooth run despite the bumpy surface around there.
Yeah, no. In honor of Matthew Limoncelli, I got the 0x, the clean race, the the no incidents, no overtakes, kind of just ran my race, ran it clean, and the laps paid off.
Yeah, definitely paid off for yourself. And obviously at 3:34 in the morning, probably not the ideal time for you to be racing, but you're probably a night owl like me, just love to get out there and start racing, right?
The competition here is just too good to give up. Everyone around us, everyone at E4A, it's been a blessing and a lovely time, and so it's well worth the sacrifice.
Absolutely. But next week we head across the pond again. We're back into our grand old Europe, and we head to the Circuit de Catalunya next week, obviously running the classic layout without that silly chicane at the end. What are your thoughts heading into that one next week?
Sebring has been my most run track, and it's definitely paid off this week. Barcelona is a complete novelty to me. I haven't raced it in iRacing at all with this system, with these cars, so I've got a week to practice, a week to learn up, but we'll get there.
Absolutely, and I know you're absolutely exhausted at this point with it being so late at night, but before I let you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to who's responsible for bringing that Tinder BMW to second place here tonight?
I have to say a massive shout out to my teammate Paul Skip, also on the podium today, so congrats to him. My family appear to have stayed up and watched the broadcast too, so everyone's making the late night shift tonight.
Absolutely. Well, Paul, congratulations one more time on the second place. Definitely going to give you a big boost in the championship points as well. Go and get yourself some rest. Go and get some sleep, and we'll catch you next week when we head to the Circuit de Catalunya.
Have a lovely evening, guys.
That was Paul Boyle, very much a night owl, just like myself. It's 3:36 a.m. here, and he's up just as late as me, just turning them laps and getting them second place on the podium.
You know what? The usual suspects up at the front of the field. But you know what? I am really impressed with Safe Ferries putting the pressure on Michael McCoy. And I'm even more impressed with McCoy, the way he handled that. It was the first time we've seen anyone give him a serious challenge. And I liked what I saw in him defending that top spot. So we'll have to see what Spain brings us as we go there next week.
Yeah, as before we go anywhere, let's take a quick look at the updated point standings, and it's a very different outlook on the thing, as for some reason it's not there. 1 second. As we're going to take a look at it right now. Terry Calgar Jr. still at the top of the standings here after this one. Paul Skip now, after his second place though, reduces that gap to just 1 point between himself and Terry Calgar Jr. So that's going to be one to look at when we go to Spain next week. Brad McCombs, despite his poor finish, still sitting in third in the points. Now actually takes over third points in the... he's sitting in third in points ahead of Tony Watson. Then you got Tyler Langenberg in P5. Dennis Diaz, after his win again, has closed that gap right up now. The gap between second and fifth, only 3 points now. Mark Dillon in P7. Then you got Ryan Tyler, who retired earlier in the race, in P8. Then you got Oleg Vorotniak, Jesse Brannon, who wasn't here tonight, in P10. Then you got Robert Garcia, who finished in the top 5. Great result for him. Then you got Safe Ferries, who moved over to GT3 earlier in the season. Then Jason Butler, who's only taken part in a couple of races so far this season. GT3, it's a very different outlook on that one, as Michael McCoy takes over at the top of the points, and moving up to second with him is Rex Hoyle, who had a very quiet race here tonight, but still gets second in the points right now. Lamoncelli moves down to third, and you got Paul Boyle up to fourth, Zachary Nurnberger in fifth, and you got Keith Roycroft, Marcus Osborne, who missed this week, down to P7, Chris Lawson, who also missed this week, down to P8, Safe Ferries up to P9, and Cody Adkins, Daniel Barnett, Jack Gunsett, who had a very, very quiet race tonight. I don't think we mentioned him even once tonight, so apologies to Jack. We were focusing on a lot of other stuff. Timothy Manueli in P13, then Dave Ferrara, Dallas Sullivan, Jeff Hyte, who retired earlier, Sean Adkins, who also retired earlier, Atticus Middleton, Ryan Murray, who wasn't here this week. Then you got William Alcala, Bryce Anderson, who's poor season is continuing. Derek Kozlowski, who made his first race start here this season. Then you got Kyle Payne, Alan Dice, Gary Schilling, who retired earlier, Daryl Whitford, Connor Daly, and Richard Sullen. But before we do any more of that, we've just got to get your outlook on next week's race here, Byron. Circuit de Catalunya. We're off to Spain for the first time in the league's history. What are your thoughts heading into that one?
Well, I'm going to be excited to watch that race and call that race. It's a track that I personally am not that familiar with. I am going to make a point of it at some point before next week. I am going to actually turn laps on there so I can, bring a better perspective on the technical side of it. But I'm excited to see these cars. I have yet to see a GT class race go on an F1 circuit like that, a Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, we'll find out how that turns out next week when we head to Spain. But right now, let's go to the results for tonight's race. And coming up, let's go class by class, shall we? And starting with the GTE class, we're going to go with Dennis Diaz, who came home 16.6 seconds ahead of Paul Skippy, finishing second. Third place going to Tony Watson. Fourth place to Terry Calgar Jr. after a great recovery from him. Robert Garcia getting a top 5 here tonight, and Mark Dillon Jr. in P6. Oliver Brotniak in P7. Brad McCombs down in P8 after many mistakes in the race tonight. Tyler Langenberg after connection problems in P9. And Ryan Tyler rounds out your 10-car field in GTE, Byron.
Yeah, and GT3 class, Michael McCoy, man, getting it done once again, bringing it home in the top spot. Paul Boyle, great race from him. As you heard from him, consistent. And I don't know how many times we talk about that in endurance racing. He brings it home in the second position. Third goes to Derek Kozlowski. Safe Ferries, man, he was up there challenging McCoy through this race. I think when Safe is able to put together a fully mentally solid race, he is going to be one to contend with big time. Rex Hoyle comes home behind him, followed by Zachary Nurberger, Cody Atkins, Daniel Barnett. Great, silent good night from Daniel. Keith Roycroft, Timothy Emmanuel, Dave Ferrara, Jack Gunset, he comes home behind Ferrara. Atticus Middleton, he only 7 laps down, and I'm going to put feathers in his cap one more time. This is, to me, people say 7 laps down. Yeah, he's had this issue, that issue. I'm calling him the most improved driver from a racecraft point of view. He is learning and progressing, being courteous to the other drivers. That's where it all starts. And can't say enough about him right now. Daryl Whitford, we've seen in the Ferrari having issues. Bryce Anderson, Sean Atkins, Jeff Hite calling it an early night, along with Gary Schilling.
So that's going to do it for us here on ESPN. Make sure you check out the other broadcasts on our schedule. Tomorrow night we have the TNT Truck Series returning. But for now, that is going to do it for us here on ESPN. From myself, Sam Cooper Bennett, from my broadcast partner, Mr. Byron Rodney. Congratulations going out to Dennis Diaz and Michael McCoy for bringing home the race wins. And all that's left for me to say is keep it clean, keep it green. We will catch you tomorrow night live on ESPN with the TNT Truck Series. Have a good night.